Hello and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. We're going to be talking about Vladimir Putin in this video. There's some new information coming out that Vladimir Putin was speaking at like a conference with lawmakers of Russia and his head of like political elites in the country. And they were discussing this Ukraine war going on and also the threats of the West getting involved in Ukraine. So if you're not aware of that, I just put out a video just the other day, well, two videos technically, but one of them was talking about the Slovakian prime minister that came out and said that the West was planning on a few different countries, potential NATO and EU members, were planning on sending troops to Ukraine. And many people thought that was just fear mongering. Well, the next day, French President Emmanuel Macron came out and at like a major meeting with like 20 other European nations. And he said that he would be open and willing to send troops to Ukraine. So French troops to Ukraine, right? And NATO came out right away and they were like, no, this is not true. We're not planning to send any troops there. We do not stand with French President Emmanuel Macron. That is not our stance. Several European countries came out. Other NATO members said that as well. No one basically agreed with him. He's the only person that was willing to send troops to Ukraine, obviously because Ukraine is falling right now. So Vladimir Putin and many top heads of Russia started coming out. The Kremlin was coming out as well and warning that this could lead to a major war between NATO and Russia. And now we've got Vladimir Putin coming out during this conference, and he basically was saying that this is going to lead to nuclear war. So again, we've got another major warning coming out from Vladimir Putin or some top dog inside of Russia warning of nuclear war again. Okay, so they constantly keep using these terms over and over and over, and no one really used to talk like this. Okay, so clearly this is a major red flag for Russia. They're not messing around here. They never have been from the very beginning. I'm not saying I stand with Russia. I don't stand for the West. I don't stand for Russia. But I do understand after studying this and paying attention to the things that they say, Vladimir Putin is not messing around here. He means business when he says that there's a very big possibility that this could lead to nuclear war. And it also says right here on your screen, we have weapons, which are nukes, that can hit targets on the West territory. So that's basically something he said here at this conference. So I want to give you some more information on what's going on with this whole conference here and what he was talking about. So Putin warns West of risk of nuclear war, says Moscow can strike Western targets. Okay, so he addressed the political elite, warns West against triggering a nuclear conflict, says Russia has initiative on Ukraine battlefield. So apparently they're doing good on the battlefield right now in Ukraine. And apparently as well, he's going to be beefing up his troops on the western border going into Ukraine. So see, they're getting ready for a major offensive here. Okay, that's probably why they had this this big talk here in this conference, because they're getting ready to unleash hell on Ukraine here very soon. President Vladimir Putin told Western countries on Thursday they risked provoking a nuclear war if they sent troops to fight in Ukraine, warning that Moscow had the weapons to strike targets in the West. The war in Ukraine has triggered the worst crisis in Moscow's relations with the West since the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. Putin has previously spoken of the dangers of a direct confrontation between NATO and Russia, but his nuclear warning on Thursday was one of the most explicit. Addressing lawmakers and other members of the country's elite, Putin repeated his accusation that the West was bent on weakening Russia, and he suggested Western leaders did not understand how dangerous their meddling could be in what he casts as Russia's own internal affairs. So he's basically saying, don't be sending troops to Ukraine, and why are you getting involved in our war against Ukraine? And obviously, from the very beginning, the U.S. and its allies, in Europe and NATO countries and all that, have been backing Ukraine this entire time. So they've got their fingers all in this, okay? They're all involved here. He prefaced his nuclear warning with a specific reference to an idea floated by French President Emmanuel Macron on Monday of European NATO members sending ground troops to Ukraine, a suggestion that was quickly rejected by the United States, Germany, Britain, and others. So, see, basically everybody rejected him the minute that he started talking about that. Western nations must realize that we also have weapons that can hit targets on their territory. All this really threatens a conflict with the use of nuclear weapons and the destruction of civilization. Don't they get that? Said Putin. So see, he's not messing around here, guys. He's very serious. Okay? It like obviously you're messing with a country that has the most nuclear weapons in the entire world. There's basically we cannot ever have like the United States or Europe fight against Russia because we've all got nuclear weapons. This will always lead eventually to a nuclear war, if you really think about it. If any country that has nuclear weapons is about to fall, wouldn't they use nuclear weapons as a last resort? So I brought up this hypothetical thought the other day, and I was like, what if, let's say Russia went to war with NATO, and NATO started winning the war, okay? And they're pushing in, and they're taking Moscow, and they're taking all these cities, and Russia's very close to falling, right? Well, obviously, I don't think it would get that far, but let's say it did. And Putin would obviously use nuclear weapons at some point, wouldn't he? Wouldn't they do that? If they were, about to lose their country? Isn't that the whole point of having nuclear weapons? Isn't that the point? So speaking ahead of March 15th to 17th presidential election, when he is certain to be reelected for another 6-year term, he lauded that, or what he said was Russia's vastly modernized nuclear arsenal, the largest in the world. Strategic nuclear forces are in state of full readiness, he said, noting that new generation hypersonic nuclear weapons he first spoke about in 2018 had either been deployed or were at stage where development and testing were being completed. So maybe that explains where a lot of these explosions have been happening at these nuclear testing sites. I've been reporting that is maybe because of this, where the development and testing were being completed. And we do know that there's been lots of reports of Putin deploying all these insane nuclear weapons, these hypersonic Kinzhal missiles that can be attached with nuclear warheads. The Satan 2, I think, or Satan 1, Satan 2, can't remember the names, but so many different new technology of nuclear missiles have been deployed, and Russia's on full readiness right now, full combat readiness when it comes to their nuclear weapons. Visibly angry, Putin suggested Western politicians recall the fate of those like Nazi Germany's Adolf Hitler and France's Napoleon Bonaparte, who had unsuccessfully invaded Russia in the past. But now the consequences will be far more tragic, said Putin. They think war is a cartoon. So he's saying that the West doesn't take war seriously, is what he's saying. He said, accusing Western politicians of forgetting what real war meant because they had not faced the same security challenges as Russia had in the last 3 decades. Yeah, I mean, has the West really had to deal with being invaded at all recently? Not really. Russians really have been through a lot, okay? Just even over the last 3 decades, yeah, there's been lots of issues and lots of, continuous war. And just like the Ukraine and Russian conflict, this has been going on for quite some time now. So most of the troops there are pretty used to war. And, Russia's been involved in this and almost overrun many times and saved their own country, even when it was the Soviet Union. Okay, so I definitely agree with Putin to an extent here that, I don't think the West realizes how serious this is, that sending troops to Ukraine is gonna really ignite, a potential war and nuclear war at some point. Okay, I agree with that. That could definitely happen, and I've brought this up many times that when a country has nuclear weapons, especially a lot of them, so like the United States and Russia has well over 5,000 each. Obviously, that's a blanket of protection. So if you have these nuclear weapons, you basically cannot fail as a nation. You can't be overrun because you can always use these as a last resort. That's kind of the whole point, right? The whole point of having them is not really to just use them whenever. It's to use them to save your country is kind of how they're looked at. So there's no way that Russia and the U.S. could ever go to war with each other, because it will just eventually lead to a nuclear war at some point. Because one side is going to have to win, and when one side wins, the other side's going to launch nukes, right? It's just the way it's going to go. It's unfortunate that that's how it's going to be. So I don't know, but let me know what you think down below. I'm curious to think what your comments are on this. But obviously, another major warning coming out directly from Vladimir Putin, who is expected to be president again in the middle of next month. So let me know what you think down below. Comment below, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. And also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. We do put out several updates every single day. So again, I appreciate you being here. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. We'll see you in the next one.